Okay, everybody, it's me again, Keith Taylor. You guys, some of you airsofters might remember me as the Jedi 270. I put everything on Arkham Effects. So let me explain Arkham Effects. Arkham Effects was my love of Batman. That's where Arkham comes from. Effects is what I do. It's a hobby of mine. Sometimes I do like uh, movie props. I'll do like one-off dioramas, sculptures, and that sort of thing. So basically, after about 15 years, I've decided to look back at the airsoft market again. I want to do this. I want to do this in a different way, guys. I want to know from you. And like I said, I'm not getting a whole lot of views right now because a lot of guys think I'm either dead or something. I don't know if they even see the channel or even if they care to watch me. I want to start a podcast. I'm going to start doing live videos once a week. I've contacted a couple of my friends in Airsoft that were from a long time ago to see if they want to do another. Have I got anybody watching? Nope, nobody yet. See if they want to do like a sponsorship. Now, here's my point. Over the years, I have learned that there are a lot of airsoft products that relate over to Real Firearms, or what airsofters refer to as Real Steel. A lot of guys, they just don't believe it. And a lot of my buddies that shoot with me still don't believe it. Let's take, for example, Magpul PTS stocks and furniture. I know for a fact that is the exact same stuff that you're buying at your local gun store in your FFL to go on a Real Steel gun, okay? It will work. There's no difference in it. They just package it different to open it up to another market. Sometimes PTS stuff is more expensive than the stuff that they market for real guns. But I'm telling you, there's no difference. I've had AR-15s that I've ran for years with PTS furniture and never had a problem. There's no reason for it to have a problem. But a lot of guys are saying, will airsoft optics work on a real firearm? So let's look at this from a scientific way, and let's look at it from common sense. Airsoft red dots, like knockoff EOTechs, knockoff aim points, most of those work off of LEDs. Now, a real aim point Comp M4 has an LED, but here's the difference. The LED and how it's put together and made in an aim point is it's seated inside that unit so tight and tested to make sure that the violence of a recoil will not unseat it, and it locks it down tight when you do your zero of your optic on the range. Then when you get like an airsoft version of that, an airsoft gun, even a gas blowback, does not have the type of recoil that requires that type of seating of that LED. So therefore, I do not believe, and I have taken these things apart in the past. I've looked at them. I don't believe that an LED in an airsoft optic will handle the recoil even of a 5.56 223 rifle. We all know that a 5.56 223 rifle is probably one of the softest shooting guns in the world, okay? Still don't believe that it's going to hold up to that recoil. Not so much since it sits on an unmoving receiver, but I believe that the recoil rocking it back and forth on top of said receiver will eventually break off that LED. So I wouldn't suggest that anybody do that. But what I want to do with this channel is I want to set up this room back here. It's got all my collectible stuff in it. Get me a desk. And like I said, once a week, we're going to do a live video. I'm also looking into doing a weekly podcast. What we're going to do, I contacted a couple of my friends in Airsoft and said, hey, remember me when I used to do videos for you, this, that, or the other? This is what I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to marry it up with Real Steel. I'm too old. I've had, some of you have been watching, I've had a 5-way cardiac bypass. I do not want to do airsoft gaming anymore. That doesn't mean that I'm going to sell you guys out. I believe that airsoft gaming is a hell of a good sport. And I like you guys, and I want you to be able to tune in just to see this other stuff too. Not necessarily because of the real steel version or the real steel aspect of it, if that makes sense. But with the channel, if I can get some of these guys that I used to work with to send stuff in and take it out on the range and physically sit there and zero it in on a real gun and see if it holds up, test it over a couple of days, go back out, shoot it again, see if it still holds zero, make sure it doesn't destroy itself. And then I think I could definitively say that you could go out and pay $75 for said optic and it should work for you. Now, I'm going to stop right here. Hold on. Oh, see, I'm getting old. My hips don't even work anymore. We're going to get these mags out of here so you guys don't freak out. Okay, hopefully you can see down in there. This weapon is clear. It's still kind of new. All right, what's sitting on here is a real Trigicon RMR. My son went to a flea market and he found what he believed to be a real RMR, sent me a message. I was somewhere else. Said, Dad, I think this is real. And this guy only wants X amount of dollars for it. I said, snap it up. Even if it's not real, snap it up. Let's get it. Well, come to find out that it was indeed fake, because right up in here it said patent pending instead of patent. That's how you can tell the difference. So I put that on this gun. I took it to the range. I got it to zero. It stayed in zero till about the third magazine. After about the third magazine ran through this, and this wasn't plus PM. Well, maybe it is plus PMO. It's V-Crown SIG. And it took a shit. A big time shit. So basically the light wouldn't come, the dot wouldn't come back on. I took it apart and looked at it, and it, like I thought, you know, it completely broke loose from its mounting. If you're going to shoot an airsoft optic on a pistol, it's not going to work. It's just simply not going to work because the things just aren't made for that, okay? Whereas a shotgun and a rifle, there's a huge difference between the optics and the recoil, the felt recoil and the physical recoil on a 9mm, being a small round, is extremely violent. Okay, it's very violent. And that's why you pay a lot of money for some of these optics to go on these guns. Okay, because a 9mm is going to wreak hell on a knockoff optic that's meant for airsoft. Just don't waste your money. Because some of these things can go up to $100 for an airsoft optic. And you're thinking, man, $100? Don't do it. Save up a couple of bucks, wait till a Black Friday sale, get yourself a Hollow Sun or something like that and put it on your gun. Don't even waste your time with these, okay? This is a real one. And they're not cheap. This is about $579 right now, and I got a good deal on this one. Okay? Now, but on a rifle, if you've got a tactical 22, like a 22 long rifle, or that type, some of those knockoff optics will work, especially on a little light 22. If you've got on a 22 AR-15, we might get some of these guys to send one to the channel. We'll put it on a 22 rifle. We'll shoot it. We'll see if it keeps its zero or if it will even zero at all. And then we'll have that question answered. Now, that being said, I don't have one in front of me, but an Airsoft ACOG, okay? Advanced Optical Gun Sight, okay? The way to tell the difference between a real ACOG and one that's a knockoff that comes in like a real, very well copied case is if you look at the screws on the side, the back screw will be up higher than the front screw. It's a dead giveaway. That's the best way to tell that it's not real. But we're also talking about an ACOG that has no electronics. The red dot in the center of your reticle is from the fiber optic on the top shining down onto said reticle. A real ACOG has the reticle etched on the glass. I'm not sure how the reticle on a fake ACOG is manufactured. So I'm going to get somebody to send me one, and we're going to throw it on a 5.56 rifle, and then we're going to zero it, and then we'll see if it uses it zero. And then over a period of months, when we do a podcast, we'll do an update, and we'll talk about whether or not that optic is still holding at zero. Because I got to be honest with you, I'm not paying $1,500 for an ACOG. For one reason, I don't like it that much. I'm not an ACOG fan. I'm an EOTech guy. And if I'm not going to use an EOTech, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a Comp M4 aim point. Those are my 2 favorites, okay, for hollow sights. I've had sight marks. I've heard guys that I shoot with knock them, but sight marks run well. I had one for a long time, and it never lost its zero. It never tore up. It always did what it was supposed to do. But it's just some guys, they just don't like it. All right. First rifle or pistol. This is a build. Okay. All right. That is, I don't know if you can see down in there the difference in that follower. This is an Endomag for 9mm. As you can tell, this weapon's safe. Sitting on top, being 9mm, is an XPS EOTech. That's a real EOTech. All right. This one, I got a really crazy good deal on this optic, man. I mean, it was unreal good deal. But they run about $500. If you get one that has night vision, you're looking at about $600. Okay, anywhere between $500 and $600 for this EOTech. This runs on 1CR123A battery. God, man, this build. Let me tell you about this build. This build is wearing a Wilson Combat lower, a Wilson Combat upper, and the bolt is a Faxon Gen 2 9mm bolt. It's running an H3, which is a 5.5 to 5.6 ounce buffer, and it's running a summer spring, a heavier spring. Excuse me. I have to take this out after the holidays and get it sighted in. I've just finished this build. This has an RM2 Streamlight. Another thing, guys, these weapon lights, and I'm going to show you another one that we're going to talk about every week. We're going to talk about whether or not the knockoff lights are decent. This is a $200 light sitting on this gun, okay? It comes with a pressure switch. It comes with this piece up here on top to reroute your wire. I love Streamlights. I have a couple of Surefire lights. I've had Surefire lights on my weapons, but I can't stand the price. Surefire lights are god-awful expensive, and I got to be honest with you, I cannot justify that much money on a weapon light. I just can't. As long as it's got the lumens and it doesn't crap out on you, why spend it? A lot of guys spend it because, you know, they call them gun snobs, brand whores, stuff like that. Now, I could be called a brand hoe because there's just some brands that I like that I've had a lot of experience with that have never let me down. And I always tend to go to them, and Streamlight's one of them. Also, when we get to this other rifle, you'll see what I'm talking about. Where a lot of guys spend a lot of money is on this doohickey right here, the charging handle, okay? This is a Seekins Precision. This was $65. It also has the cutaways to reroute gas away from the shooter's face because we're shooting a pistol. This is an 8.5-inch barrel on this gun. So you're going to get a lot of gas back in your face. Another thing about it, if you look, let's just lock this back real quick. It's going to be easier. If you notice this ridge right here, it mates up nicely right here. Here are these little scallops to reroute gas. This comes back and clicks right into the upper, and that's supposed to keep a lot of gas out of your face. Like I said, this is a brand new one. This is a brand new rifle. I haven't taken it. I keep calling it a rifle. I'm getting myself in trouble. This is a brand new pistol. Once I get it sighted in and I get everything running on it, it's complete. But we need to test it. And that's what I want to do with this channel. We're going to talk about how airsoft parts relate to real steel, whether or not you can use airsoft parts. Because, look, I got to tell you guys, I've spent a lot of money in firearms, a lot. And I've built a lot of real steel Glocks, custom Glocks. It's just a money game. There's a lot of stuff out there that is really nothing more than a way to get your money. That's all there is to it. I believe that an airsoft ACOG will run on these guns. But we need to get one in here and test it out. Okay, that's the 9mm. Now, the other one that we're going to put the ACOG on, this is a Colt LE6920, okay? What I'm running on here is I'm running a B5 system SOCOM stock. I'm running a Magpul MOE Plus. I like that rubber feel. It's running its original Colt mil-spec trigger. Mag is empty. Weapon is empty. Okay. It's running a Magpul MOE Gen 1, Gen 2. Johnny, I forget the Gen. Rear sight. And it's running a Real Steel Crimson Trace. And I forget the number on this. I got this at a stupid deal. I mean, I think I paid like $50 for this optic. Right now, I couldn't pass it up. And we're going to run it on the rifle and see how it does, and then we'll come back to it later on and put the ACOG on it. But this is going to be the test rifle for the ACOG. And we're going to be running some 5.56 through it, which is a higher pressure than a 223. So that will tell us whether or not an airsoft ACOG will run on a rifle of this caliber, okay? If it can handle this rifle, it can handle anything. Up here on the front is a Midwest Industries rail that allows the front sight base to be used. The only drawback to that rail, is a stupid light rail, and it's really nice to have, is you have to take off your delta ring from your barrel nut. And the box says that you should take a Dremel and cut it off. Don't do that. Just take off your flash hider, get you a new crush washer, knock your pins out, get a buddy to help you. It's not that hard. And remove the barrel nut. Take all that bullshit off of it. Put that original barrel nut back on. Torque it down to 44 foot-pounds torque. And then put everything else back up here. And then you can use this rail. I think this rail was shipped almost 200, I want to think. Now, this is a nightstick. 1,000 lumen tactical light. This is a $100 light. Is it as good as a Surefire? In my opinion, yes, it absolutely is. We're talking 1,100 lumen. It comes with 2 different mounts. You can mount it up like this, like I have here. See how it's up at an angle? Or you can mount it off to the side, straight off to the side. It comes with the pressure pad. It comes with the rail piece to set the pressure pad in. It comes with this block that goes on the top of a 1913 that reroutes the wires. As you can see, that's where the wires are running. Super nice. Guys, don't go buy BCM quick detach sling swivels. I got like a pack of 10 off of Amazon for like 20 bucks. And then, of course, the QD for them. This is a Strike Industries J-Comp. This one has to go, since it's got a new optic on it, it's going to have to go get zeroed, but we're going to do it. I'm going to wait until we get an ACOG, a knockoff ACOG to test. But that is a Colt 6920. One second, I'll show you the other rifle. I've got one more to show you. Another thing I forgot to tell you on that 9mm pistol, that's a ballistic advantage barrel. And we're going to talk about a big misconception. Ballistic Advantage has partnered with Aero Precision. So if you get a Ballistic Advantaged roll marked lower receiver or a rail or an upper receiver or a charging handle, those are all made by Aero Precision. In Aero Precision marked Ballistic Advantage. All boat carrier groups that are marked Aero Precision, all barrels that are marked Aero Precision are made by Ballistic Advantage. It's fact. Okay, that's part of what they have. Ballistic Advantage you can get anywhere from the Modern series, which is the cheaper one. It's still a stellar barrel. And in my opinion, it's the better barrel than anything you're getting from a factory this side of Daniel Defense or LaRue or HK or some high-end Gucci rifle. But Ballistic Advantage Modern Series is cheaper. Another cheaper barrel is Roscoe Bloodline. That's a really damn good barrel. Very accurate barrel. But the Wilson Combat 9mm has the Hanson series, which is the next level up in 9mm barrel. It's way more accurate than the Modern series, and the Modern series, nothing to blow your nose at. The next is a Hanson Precision. Those normally come in like a stainless, and they're fluted, and they're all fancy-dancy. Those are straight-up match grade barrels, and the price tag shows it. This build is an Aero Precision M4 E1 lower in the Betsy Ross. This came in a set, the upper and the lower. So these things are super nice, super nice. The bolt carrier group in this weapon is an Aero Precision Pro. So that's about $160, $170 from your FFL, okay? This is made by Ballistic Advantage. So if you find a Ballistic Advantage enhanced bolt carrier group, it's the same as the Aero Precision Pro. They do a little bit better of steel. They're all chrome lined. The staking is unreal. It's probably one of the best bolt carrier groups that you're going to buy from Aero Precision. This barrel is a 1-8 twist. This is a 10.5-inch Ballistic Advantage Hanson series. On the front is the Strike Industries King Comp, which is really one of my favorite compensators. On top is the shorter 1000 lumen nightstick. Also, it came with this piece to reroute the wire. It came with 2 mounts to do it at a cant or a straight out. It also came with the piece to go on the rail, the pocket to hold your tape switch. You could tell I hate doing this to the camera. It's a bright light, okay? The trigger in this is a Timney React AR 4.5 pound trigger. And this is I don't know who makes this. A buddy of mine, Blaine, owns Blaine's Guns and Bows in Allen, Kentucky. He had 2 of these. Actually, no, I take that back. He had 3 of them. I bought 2, came home, built a rifle out with it, and I said, hell with that, I'm going to get the other one. So I went and got it. It was like 25 bucks. But the cool part about it is when you're putting in the rear spring, you see this little hole right here? There's none of that bull crap of sitting there trying to line it up and push that spring and detent in for the back takedown pin. Because you put everything on, you torque it down, and then you put everything together, you stick it down that hole, you push the spring in, and you take a set screw and put it in. The same thing with up here on the M4E1 arrows. You see that silver pin? You don't have to mess and stick around with that thing because that's a set screw. On the other side, the other pain in the ass thing that you have to do with an AR-15 build is your bolt release, okay? I don't know if you guys can see that. It should be like a silver, yeah, right there, silver color. That's also a set screw pin. So you push it in, you slide in, it holds it in place, and you just take an Allen wrench and tighten it down. Easy peasy, done. It takes all the BS out of building a lower, and it's amazing. The only other lower receiver that I can say that I have used that is just as easy to build is a Soda Arms, because your safety switch, your detent's not down here in your grip. Heck, it's back here. So I ended up I called them and I'm like, there's something wrong with my lower. I don't have any place to put my detent in. They're like, check the back. And I'm like, what? You know, and I'm like, man, that's freaking awesome. The prices are awesome too. Soda makes some damn good stuff. They make good barrels, they make good uppers, they make good lowers, they make good rails. Insane, okay? This one, I've got the QD sling mount set up on a 45-degree angle on the front side of that rail. This rail, I don't know who it's made by. I would honestly say it's probably Tiger Rock, but it's extremely light, extremely inexpensive. You don't have to have the t-shirt saying, I only rock $3,000 crap. I mean, don't waste your money. On an AR-15, your money should be spent on your barrel, your bolt, your trigger, and your recoil system. In other words, your buffer and your spring. That's it. Everything else you can go nuts with. I don't care what anybody says. That's just the truth of it. We all know that when we go to resell one of these at our FFL, they will never offer us what we have in it. They calculate what they can get it for wholesale, and they take a percentage off of that. So if you're going to build a rifle and you're going to put serious money into it, make sure it's one that you're going to want to keep and that it works for you. I absolutely love the Betsy Ross setup. And you see up there the upper, it's got the 76 on it. Super nice. And this charging handle is another cheaper charging handle. Okay, will it crap on me? Maybe, but it's something that I can go out and spend $85 on later if I want to put a better one in. The Wilson Combat has a Seekins Precision in it. Does that mean it's bad? Absolutely not. But you're not touching these charging handles, but maybe one time when you're at the range, maybe 2 or 3 times. But come on, it's not rocket science, and it's not that expensive a part. But that being said, these are the builds. This is an SB3 brace. What else? Oh, this is an EOTech 512 riding on the top. This one runs off of AA batteries. You can buy AA rechargeable batteries. It's probably the cheapest way to run an EOTech. You can usually pick these up used like at swap meets or gun shows for about $300. I've seen them at gun shows going used for like $250. And if I got the money on me, I buy them. Because if you see an EOTech 512 and you can get it for like a stupid cheap price, like $200 to $250, even $300, get it. Because I'm going to tell you something about EOTech. L3 makes these optics, and they run even with the front lens shot out. Unless that thing has just been completely kicked around and dragged down the road by a Mack truck, still worth that money. Still going to last. You can refinish the stupid thing. You can buy new hoods, new battery doors. You can buy new hoods on Midway for like 25 bucks and refurbish the damn thing. If you can get it that cheap, do it. Do it. And there's no reason why, even if you're going to do that, you would even want to do a knockoff of an EOTech on a real weapon. You're just going to waste the money. And some of them can be anywhere from $75 to $100, and I do not believe that they will hold up. If someone out there, a retailer, wants to send one in for testing, we will absolutely put one on a rifle and shoot the shit out of it and see if it holds up. And if it holds up, then hey, we can say this brand, this model works. But that's basically it. So what do you guys think about doing the podcast? It really bothers me, and I don't know why it bothers me, but I'll do these live videos. I think I've done 3 now. I'll get 1 or 2 viewers, and instantly they click off the video. I don't know what they're expecting to see. If they would stay around long enough, maybe they would understand where I'm coming from. But this channel, I want to start using Airsoft for what I originally started using Airsoft for, was a way to shoot and train with the familiarity of what I actually own and not spend all that money on ammo. Folks, this ammo is flipping expensive. It's high. That's just $223. I think that's Blazer. And it hasn't gone back down to $7 a box. It's almost $15 a box. So it's not gone down in price. So plus, I can set up down this long hallway. I can shoot real world CQB distances, and I can do it without busting anything or hurting anybody. It's colder than balls outside. I think tonight it's supposed to get down to like 2 degrees below zero or 3 degrees below zero. We've got this big storm coming in. But that's what we want to start doing on this channel. I want to start bringing the real steel guys, give them a little bit of truth, and let them understand that Airsoft is more than just going out and shooting your buddies and putting on a bunch of military stuff. Now, let me touch one more time on one of the things that pisses real steel guys off about Airsoft, if you want to know. I watch all of these unboxings. Nothing has changed in 15 years. Everyone is almost the same except for what's in the box. You got people opening them up with potato chips and everything. And come on, I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear a 15-minute speech about buying the mystery box and how long it took to get to you. Just open the damn box. That's all. Just open the box. I have no problem with it really, because I can fast forward through a lot of stuff. I'm just saying, open the box. Get to it. Get to the meat and potatoes. The jokes and the humor, nobody wants that. Some people like it, some people don't. It's just me. Now, I guarantee you that this weapon right here, if it was an airsoft gun, somebody's going to unbox it and go, oh, it's an M4. People, this is not an M4. This is an AR platform rifle. The reason I say platform is because Colt owns the AR-15 nomenclature. Colt also owns the M4 designation that the military uses. Okay? A lot of times you'll see these people put like on these models, this is a Mod Betsy, okay? But it starts off with BRM4. Okay, it's not just going to be M4, okay? But it's not an M4. It's absolutely not. The only thing that is an M4 is a 14.5-inch barrel, regular round handguard, Colt, with a waffle military stock on the back, the regular military stock that comes on the Colts, the regular finger groove nylon handguard, and an FN can be called an M4. An HK416 is not an M4. The Avalons and the Ronins, none of that is an M4. None of it. So please, for the love of God, stop calling them M4s. It's not your fault because the manufacturers say M4. It's an AR-15 pattern rifle, unless it is a Colt, unless it is set up like a Stanag Colt M4 issued military rifle. It can have the round handguards or it can have the Knights Armament quad rails. Then it's an M4, okay? A 20-inch AR-15 platform is not an M16. It's not. That's either going to have the round A2 handguards on it. It's going to be a 20-inch barrel. It's going to have your regular AR-15 rear stock and your regular M16 handguards, but it's not an M16. Guys, PDWs are not M4s. Just because it has the triangle up on top of it and it has this shape in the receiver, not an M4. Absolutely not. That's just one of the things that gripes people. And I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about people that I know that watch airsoft videos. They're like, good God, why do they keep calling it an M4? Not everything's an M4. Here's another thing. Glock, the Gen 3 Glocks, the patent ran out on them. Now you've got PSA making something called a Dagger, which is a Gen 3 Glock design, but it's not a Glock. It's its own gun. Some things are a little bit different. Some parts run and interchange with a factory Glock, but it's not a Glock. It's not a Glock clone. It's its own gun. Its own gun. So back when the 1911 came out, there was one 1911. That was Colt. There was one 1911 for umpteen years. Okay? Then people started coming out with a 1911 pattern gun. So everything shared the 1911 nomenclature. Kimber, Rock Island, Springfield, and that's all gotten away from the point nobody cares anymore. And eventually, the Glock name will go to being just a Glock. I personally feel like a Glock, there's only one that I've ever owned that I wished I'd never gotten rid of. That was the 43X, and it was the MOS. So it had a place, it had a rail for a light, it had a place for an optic. See these things on my face? I need an optic. I can't see anymore. I like that gun. But the thing about Glock is they don't innovate. They say, oh, big announcement coming from Glock. What was it? A flippin' 22 long rifle. Everybody was holding their breath and, oh, they're going to change the grip angle. They're going to undercut the trigger guard so you don't get Glock knuckle. They're going to fix the trigger itself that all of us Glock faithful have been hoping for 30 years. They don't change it. They changed the stippling. They took the finger groove off. If they paid attention to shooters and these videos that people put out, and I'm not talking just guys like me, I'm talking big name people, okay? Kent Hackathorn, people like that. Jerry Mikulik. I mean, people like that of that caliber, not necessarily those particular people, but they've been screaming for this Glock to be fixed for umpteen years, and they don't fix anything. And then one of the best Glock-ish guns that I've ever bought out of the box that gives you everything is a Shadow Systems MR920. When I first bought the MR920, everybody's like, oh, I can't believe you paid close to $1,000 for that gun. Well, guess what? I'm not going to pay $600 for a Glock 19 and then pay for a new slide that's cut for an optic, a new frame that has a rail for a light, better grip texture, the undercut trigger guard, a mag well comes in the box, so that's another $90 you don't have to spend, and the trigger is not hot Glock garbage. Some of y'all might hate me. You may love Glock triggers. That's fine. You may love them because that's all you shot for years and it finally feels good to you. In your brain, in your hands, now you're used to it. So it feels better to you. That's all good and fine. But I'm a firm believer that Glock is the shittiest factory trigger on the planet. Right now you can pay $600 and some odd upward for a new Glock Gen 5, 19 or 17, and they still got the flippin' stupid polymer sights. Give me metal sights, okay? If everybody would stop butt kissing Glock, maybe they would innovate and listen to people and do something different. I like Glock. Glock is a good gun. It's not a Jesus gun. My SIG 320 Spectre is 10 times the gun a Glock is. 10 times. 10 times. But the thing of the matter is, Glock's resting on their laurels, just like Colt did when they had the military contract. Colt didn't innovate, and it ended up costing them money. They had to go bankrupt and sell out to CZ. It's the same factory, same people work there, the same machines, the same guns. They are farming some stuff out that they used to make in-house. That's actually happening, but thank God they're getting quality stuff. And I would venture to say that the lowers are probably marked by and cut by Anderson. Anderson gets such a bad reputation, but if you guys knew how many of your high-end factory ARs that you have purchased in the last 25 years were made in Hebron, Kentucky, up the road by Anderson, the people that almost every gun guy at the range vilifies, you'd shit and fall back in it. Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 2s, their lowers, their uppers, their rails, everything is made by Anderson. Guess what? Even their barrels are Anderson. So there you go. Anderson makes their bolt carrier groups. Everybody farms stuff out with the exception of Daniel Defense, BCM, LMT, who else is it? LWRC. There's very few companies that still make everything. And Diamondback. Diamondback makes everything in their house. They don't send nothing out. They don't farm nothing out. They make it all right there in Florida. So there's very few companies that make their own crap. Everybody else, Delton, Double Star, half of that stuff is made by Anderson. So that should go to show you, why are you paying $200 for a Smith & Wesson or some other name brand bolt carrier group that is made by Anderson, and you can buy the Anderson bolt carrier group, chrome lined, properly staked, for $100? The only thing you're doing is you're getting robbed. That's the only thing you're doing is you're getting robbed. So, another part of this channel, I'm going to start doing some research. If Facebook can fact check, so can me. So I will go and try to figure out who's making what for who, start comparing the two between like an Anderson and a name brand bolt carrier group, and prove it. But you're spending way too much money. If you're going to spend money, spend it on the trigger, the bolt carrier group, the barrel. Spend it on the gas system, your buffer and your buffer spring. When you start messing around with machinery, even though some of this stuff is mil spec, there's some companies out there whose bolt carriers won't run in certain rifles. Okay, case in point, Endomag for the 9mm, okay, to run in this 9mm without having to use a 9mm block, you simply put the guts in a PMAG shell and it runs. The research I've done, every single time I saw Faxon Gen 2, everybody that had a Faxon Gen 2 said it ran flawlessly. No break-in period, no problems, no hiccups, no bullshit. And then I might see one or two brands and they're like, well, it might work, it might not. You know, you got a break-in period, you got to rack the bolt like 100 times. I wanted JP in this rifle, but JP flat out tells you on their website, our bolt is not compatible with Endomags. I'm not going to go out and buy a magazine block. And as much as I love Colt, pay almost $100 per mag for a Colt stick mag in 9mm, or pay $30, $40 a piece on factory Glock mags, and I don't like how the bottom of the receiver rocks back. The beauty of this 9mm is I can run my regular mags, I can take this upper off, I can slap a 5.56 upper on it, throw in a regular PMAG, and I can rock and roll. Of course, that upper is going to have an M16 bolt. It's not going to have this 9mm bolt. But the point of the matter is, I've got one build in Wilson Combat. I can put 2 different uppers. I can like Gucci the hell out of the upper, 5.56 upper, and run it on that lower and not have to buy 2 guns. So my thing is, we're going to start talking all about these videos and what airsoft stuff will actually run in real steel. And hopefully a lot of my shooting buddies that run real steel will say, hey, this airsoft thing, it's not so bad. These guys aren't bad. They're not punks. I just wish they'd quit calling every AR an M4. Or, oh my God, let's get right into this. Let's get right into this on an unboxing. Or, oh, it's got great weight. I want to tell you something about real steel, guys, okay? Great weight for us is as light as possible. You start packing around a gun that's got a ton of crap on it, you're not going to like it. Coming from my days in the military, I used to have to pack around an M60. Let me tell you, that'll wear your ass out real quick. You'd be like, oh my God, I don't want to deal with that. But guys, when you're playing airsoft and you're running real steel gear, that's cool too, because some of the plate carriers are really well made. My plate carrier that I have steel plates, AR500 steel plates, guess who it's made by? Condor. I'm not going to go out and pay $500 for a plate carrier. I've ran Condor plate carriers for the past 20 years. I've never had one tear. I've never had one break. And I sure as hell did enjoy having that extra money in my pocket. I don't need a Mayflower or whatever that is, or the Crytex or Cry Precision. I'm not in this to show off. I'm in this that if it hits the fan and I have to defend my family and the ones I love, I want to make sure that my gear is up to par. Coming from the Army, I love Colts. Colts were the beginning. Yes, they're not HK 416s, but this is the godfather of all AR-15s. This is the beginning of it all. I've ran my weapon in the military so dirty, unbelievably dirty. I was so bad at maintenance of my weapon, but it went bang every time I needed it to. I never had to worry about it. And over the years, when you get into, when you start loving something like that, it's hard to get away from it. Daniel Defense, I've owned a couple of Daniel Defense rifles. I wasn't that impressed for the price. I can get the same thing out of my Colt 6920 that I can get out of a Daniel Defense. Some would argue that the barrel's more accurate. I would agree with them. It is. A Daniel Defense barrel is like 3 times a mil-spec barrel that you'll find on a Colt. An LMT barrel, a Noveski barrel, all of them are better barrels if you're trying to shoot the nuts off of a groundhog at 400 yards. I don't need that. I'm smart enough to know that in my past in the military and the way warfare is today, if it hit the fan and I had to defend my family, I'm not going to be engaging targets out past 50 yards. I'm not going to do it. If there's one cat walking by and I'm 50 yards from him and I don't need anything he has, I'm going to lay low, I'm going to be quiet, I'm going to let him walk. Because medical equipment is going to be scarce. I don't want to risk a fight that I don't have to fight. I don't want to risk getting shot because I'm not Rambo. I don't want to take a chance of having to use my first aid stuff simply because I wanted to see what was in his backpack. So why reach out that far? You just don't need to. If you want to have a DMR, great, that's your choice. You can have the DMR.